Welcome to A Course in Business Miracles. This is Heather Dominick, creator of BusinessMiracles.com and founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement. Join me today for some genuine practical assistance and a business-altering and life-changing experience, a business miracle. This is A Course in Business Miracles, episode number 12. Magnitude. Learn how to choose magnitude over littleness and watch what transpires in your business as a result. Our theme word for today's training is magnitude. So I'd like to start off today's training with a direct quote from A Course in Miracles, and I invite you to write this down. In the world of scarcity, love has no meaning, and peace is impossible. So I know when I first entered into the coaching world, there was a big phrase that was used a lot, and I know it's still frequently used, and that phrase is playing a bigger game. And what I came to realize with the use of this phrase is that the more and more I heard it, and the more and more it was directed at me and my business growth, that I felt really my old past feelings of being less than. That playing a bigger game wasn't a motivator for me. It actually just brought up memories of being in elementary school and junior high and never really feeling quite like I fit in. And I could do the team sports, and I did what needed to be done to be a part of those team sports. But they didn't provide me with the adrenaline rush that so many of my other fellow students seem to be provided with. You know, I'm thinking right now, maybe if they had had a yoga team, I would have done really well. But I realize now that's because playing a bigger game is really all about that 80%. And it's not about the 20% that I belong to. The 20% is a highly sensitive entrepreneur. So especially 3 years ago, as I've shared with you before, at a very dark time in my business when I was really facing so much in regards of what do I really want here? What do I want to create? And I was feeling extremely frustrated and honestly even a little bit angry with all of the phrases that again were being thrown at me in my direction of play a bigger game and no more excuses. And I thought, really, is this how I have to be in order to have a successful coaching business, in order to be a successful coach? Do I have to really be in this group of people who have to really just constantly shout like hell yes or hell no? Not that there's anything wrong with that. Dr. Elaine Aron will say for herself that absolutely the world needs the warriors. But the truth is, as Dr. Elaine Aron will also say, is that the world very much needs the royal advisors. So I remember at that dark time 3 years ago really thinking to myself, there must be another way. And interestingly enough, those are the exact same words that were said and thought by Bill and Helen before A Course in Miracles was channeled through. The Course says that littleness and glory are the choices that you have, and you will always choose one at the expense of another. When I first learned that, I thought, wow, that is really interesting. That really struck me straight into my heart. And the part that really got me was, this is my choice. Because though I didn't want to be out there, being pushed for no excuses or having to scream hell yes, I also didn't really want to be pulling back. The idea of shrinking back, of hiding, that didn't feel good to me either. There was something bigger that was pulling me forward. And the idea of not following that pull forward was heartbreaking. It was actually soul crushing. So this concept of littleness and glory and littleness versus magnitude really supported me in being able to stop, get my feet down on the ground, and think to myself, this is a choice, Heather, and I must commit. Because this tug-pull between shrinking back and hiding or forcing myself out there to play a bigger game, that was a fragmenting experience for me. And we go back to one of our early trainings here and understanding that fragmentation is born from fear. So I had to ask myself, what was I committing to? And if anything that I'm sharing with you right now resonates, then my invitation for you is to ask yourself that same question again. What are you committing to? The Course says that every time you choose, that choice is your evaluation of yourself. Let me repeat that and let's really take that in. Every time you choose, that choice is your evaluation of yourself. I know for myself, when I first heard that, I thought, ooh, ouch. And I had to really take a look at that. The Course also goes on to say that choose littleness and you will not have peace because you will have judged yourself unworthy of it. I know for myself as a highly sensitive entrepreneur and all of the messaging from the outside world that the louder and the warriors are better, I know for myself that I felt that there wasn't really a place for me. And I watch HSEs over and over and over make the choice to align themselves with those louder warriors, believing that that's the only way that they can achieve success. I know that there was recently a post on the Facebook group sharing that she had been targeted by a coach and she felt like she had been chosen. But the truth is, and specifically according to the Course, you already are chosen. You are chosen simply because you are. So again, it absolutely breaks my heart to watch HSEs believe that they can't be successful in business, that you can't be successful in business in a way that's aligned with who you are. When you make that choice, when you choose that belief, that is a choice of littleness versus a choice of magnitude. And I know this, and I know this well because I have made this choice myself in the past. The Course will also say there is no form of littleness that can content you. Oh, wow, okay. That really made sense to me. That explained all of my consistent searching, looking out there for the answers, for the proof that I was valuable. But there is no form of littleness that can content you. So that endless searching will never end unless the decision is made. And the decision is made by you. And the decision is made by you to be magnitude. To do what needs to be done, to identify what it is that you need for your business growth and your business success, and to take the steps forward to receive that in what I like to say, NMW, no matter what. The Course will say that every decision you make stems from what you think you are and represents the value you put upon yourself. So there's also been a lot of conversation on the Facebook group about what can and can't be afforded. Every decision you make stems from who you think you are and represents the value you put upon yourself. If you believe that you can't afford, what are you valuing? The question to be asking is, what can you afford? The Course also says that it does require vigilance to protect against littleness in this world. And I'm going to say that again, and I invite you to write it down. It does require vigilance to protect against littleness in this world. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that in truth, the idea of standing out, the idea of being different, is also often looked upon as threatening, as scary by others. So you know those people in your life when you tell them that you're starting a business, or you explain that you're in business for yourself, or maybe even for those who aren't aligned, you're trying to prove that the business that you have as a coach, as a healing practitioner, as a creator is viable. Well, those who are not interested in making choices of magnitude don't want to hear what you have to say. Your choice of following your heart, listening to your soul, is a threat. So it requires vigilance to protect against littleness in this world. It requires vigilance not just to play a bigger game, but to truly be the energy of magnitude. And because it requires vigilance, this is exactly why I've created something like this series and like A Course in Business Miracles 6-month group coaching program. But the thing is, and the Course calls this out so clearly, is that we want results without doing the work. It's like going to the gym for the first time, looking in the mirror and saying, I don't think anything really happened. So again, it's why I've consciously created a container for accelerated learning to provide support in that vigilance. We begin together, and then we step into 6 months for the next level. It's why I've consciously created modules that are how-to tools for inner and outer approaches to marketing, and specifically in how to shift from selling to serving. Because this is the key place for those of us who are highly sensitive entrepreneurs where we tend to get stopped and blocked. Why? Because in order to sell our services, there must be an extreme, deep, to the core sense of value and magnitude of self. This is the place where I just watch HSE after HSE after HSE stop. But the truth is, it's so beautiful. It's why you've been called to be in business for yourself. It's why we're all here on the planet at this time, when actually having a business as a coach, as a healing practitioner, or as a creative is viable. We are no longer in that time when you were born into a tribe and the tribe would hold you and support you in your area of brilliance and your zone of genius. So this is why we form our own tribes now. This is why our tribe stretches across the globe in a miracle matrix. But we must form that tribe to provide that vigilance, to stay connected, to stay committed, and to learn the hows and put the hows into practice so that we can be not just practicing, but being that magnitude that we were brought here to be. And that is why in the 6-month group coaching program, to move the theory into practice, including training with me in person for 3 full days, if that's something that you choose, to take everything that we are going to be discovering, developing, creating, forming, and honing over 6 months and moving it into solid implementation. We already have members who are going to be joining us in person from as far away as Nigeria and as far away as Iceland. And it's why, more than anything, that there is an entire module dedicated to magnitude versus littleness. It does require vigilance to protect against littleness in this world. And it's why I've included, most importantly, a valuable manifesting tool of the money mindset training, which are 4 training modules, powerful teaching that you can begin right away, right now. So if you find yourself up against your money story in any way whatsoever, everything that's in that bonus, before we even get started for 6 months, everything that's in that bonus is everything that I have used and I have learned to shift and change my relationship with money. To go from feeling so out of control with money, so much like it wasn't part of me, that I couldn't be a part of that world. Going from living paycheck to paycheck, going from having $100 in my bank account to last me for 2 full weeks before I went back to my teaching job, from the end of August to the beginning of September, with bills to pay and a Long Island Railroad ticket that needed to be bought. My life was hell. I was miserable. I was as far away from peace as I could imagine. There was nothing that was a martyr about that time in my life. And there was nothing that was of service or spirituality at that time in my life, no matter how much I wanted to fool myself that it was. And there was nothing about service in the form of lack or scarcity. Back to the quote from the beginning, in the world of scarcity, love has no meaning and peace is impossible. At that time in my life, it was very, very difficult for me to be at peace. And that's why I'm giving this bonus module training to you, 4 parts, because it changed everything with my relationship with money, which is really, truly not about money. It's about self-worth. It's about self-value. It's about self-love, and it's about self-magnitude. And honestly, from me to you right here in this moment, as HSEs, we need to relearn this. We were not taught this. Most likely what most of us were taught is that because of who we are and the way that we're coded, we were told that we didn't have a place in the world of money. Well, guess what? That is not true. There is no form of littleness that can content you. The Course asks a very key question in the chapter that is about littleness versus magnitude. And my invitation is that you write this question down. The Course asks, would you be hostage to the ego or host to God? And hostage to the ego is buying into that story of littleness. It's buying into that story of lack. It's buying into that story of scarcity. It's buying into that story that you don't belong. Would you be hostage to the ego or host to God? So when you ponder that question, then you might ask yourself, well, how? If I choose to be host to God, how? How do I do that? Well, as we've also talked about before, when you choose to be unbound, you are unbound in an instant. And I also want to share with you a meditative practice that I've received from the Course that has been extremely helpful and supportive for myself, of moving away from that old, limited, lack-oriented belief of myself, has helped me move away from being hostage to the ego. So in this moment, I invite you to close your eyes. And know that this is a meditative practice that you can return to again and again. But for this moment right now, with your eyes closed, I invite you to bring to the center of your mind's eye the moment that misperception occurred for you. The moment that you no longer believed in self. And just go with whatever shows itself to you in your mind's eye. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no judgment. Truly do as best as you can to not try to change what's given to you the moment that misperception occurred. And now, in the center of your mind's eye, as you stand looking at that moment in your life when you lost full belief in yourself, in your value, in your ability. And as you're standing looking at that moment, I invite you to see that higher source that you connect with by your side. So for me, that's Jesus. For you, it might be God, it might be Buddha, it might be Allah, it might be a goddess, it might be an ascended master. It might be a being of light. But now here in this moment, just see that being by your side. And now see yourself with that higher source of energy walking toward that moment of misperception. You together, side by side. Your higher source is holding your hand as you walk towards the moment that misperception occurred. And now there you are arriving at that moment, arriving together at that moment when misperception occurred. And here your higher source, Jesus, is laying his hand on that moment. And that moment, with the laying on of hand, that moment of misperception is healed. And from the healing of that moment of misperception, all subsequent moments, all cause and effect from that moment of misperception, all that stemmed from that moment of misperception are also healed and free. And you, in the now, and you of then, in that moment of misperception, and your higher source, now all join hands, all three of you together. And hand in hand in hand, you walk away from that moment. And you walk over a bridge and to the other side. And on the other side of that bridge, you are free. You are free to be in your value. You are free to be in your worth. You are free to be in your love. You are free to be in your business. You are free to be in your success. And you are free to be in your life. Deep breath in and let it out. Take a moment to allow your eyes to come open and really allow everything that you've received from today's daily dose of magnitude to enter into your mind, to enter into your heart, and to enter into every cell of your being so that the ideas, insights, and inspirations from today's training call will just naturally ripple out into positive impacts in your business and your life. And again, deep breath in and let it out. And just take a moment and just tap your heart 3 times. And as you go throughout your business day today, remember to pause, remember to breathe, connect into the energy of today's daily dose. And when faced with a challenge, ask yourself, how can I see this differently? I invite you to consider what I like to refer to as the 3 C's for highly sensitive entrepreneurs. The 3 C's that HSEs need to be consistently creating business miracles and success. Number 1, high-level HSE-focused content. And number 2, designed for HSE coaching support. And number 3, an aligned HSE community. Content, coaching, community. And a bonus, C, is consistency with all of it. And this is my invitation for you. My deeply serious, my deeply imperative, deeply important invitation for you.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Course in Business Miracles. If you're ready to learn how to use your highly sensitive abilities to support you in being purposeful, profitable, and empowered rather than scattered, poor, and undervalued, take my free self-quiz to find out if you are indeed a highly sensitive entrepreneur. And if you are, along with your quiz results, you'll receive my free HSE Success Guide, which will teach you how to have your highly sensitive abilities working for you to create the results you desire in your business. Take the quiz and receive your free success guide now at www.hsequiz.com.